What is up, guys? For this video we're going to be pulling the engine and transmission out of the PT Cruiser, and then tomorrow morning it's going to be hauled off to the junkyard to be crushed, and that is going to be the end of the journey for this car. Now it's time to start working on getting the engine out. I did go and buy a brand new Harbor Freight engine crane. This is the 2-ton one, so it's the big guy. Hopefully in the next couple of hours we'll have an engine out of it. It shouldn't be too hard. I'm just gonna get started. I'm gonna go to working on getting the battery out first and then exhaust, and we'll come into the engine bay and start unhooking everything from there. I got the exhaust removed and I've almost finished getting the CV axles out. I can't completely remove either one because this one seized up into the half shaft or whatever it's called, so I actually just cut the boot and slid the rest of the axle out of it, and that'll be enough room to pull that out. And then this one, the nut is seized. I do have it out of the transmission and it's, been pouring fluid out, so I'm just gonna go to Walmart, buy some fresh cutting wheels and just cut it right there. That way I can just remove the rest of it and it'll be free. If I have to, I'll chop pieces of the car up. And I don't think I'm going to keep this transmission, so I may tonight try to remove it from the engine and throw it back into the car so that I can scrap it with the car. The only thing I want is the motor. I don't care about the transmission really, especially after seeing how many other fluid leaks it has had in other different areas. I feel like I'm finally getting somewhere. Both of the axles are taken care of. I'm going to get the front end torn apart and drain coolant first, I think. I haven't really looked, but I think all of the factory lifting points are not here. That or I just didn't have any. I think at this point I'm gonna sit you guys up and do a little time lapse of the teardown up here, since you guys will finally be able to see what I'm doing. And I don't know, maybe give you guys a couple updates as we go along, and if I find anything funny I'll definitely let you guys know. And hopefully really soon we got a 2.4 liter sitting on the floor somewhere. Alright, so you guys can't really see the mess, but there's probably a whole gallon of coolant on the floor. I used the drain plug that was on the radiator. Maybe a gallon came out. When I pulled the lower hose off that radiator, another gallon came out, and I was not prepared. Well, I had one container over here, but it was coming out from pretty much every direction, and it ended up with a giant mess on the floor. Pretty much every hose for the air conditioning and the trans cooler and power steering cooler I just chopped off because car's never gonna need them again. Radiator's out, you guys saw that, and now I have much easier access to pretty much everything else. So I think all that's left to do is disconnect fuel line, and then of course the entire engine harness is hooked up. I'll probably end up just chopping most of that off and leaving things plugged into the computer. And starter has to be disconnected, at least power source to it. And a couple other hoses for power steering will probably still need disconnected from the rack and whatnot. Air conditioning stuff needs to be disconnected, and then the engine will be pretty much free. Intercooler has to be removed. It's pretty much flopping around right now. It's weird because the brackets for the intercooler are kind of pinned into place by the radiator studs in the bottom. It's kind of weird. I'll show you guys once I have it off of there. But I'm going to keep that. I'm also keeping that little cooler for the transmission. I think I'm going to use it as a power steering cooler on the truck when I get the power steering working again. But that was a big mess. I'm going to go clean all of that up, and I made a little mess over there trying to put oil into a container. So I'm going to get cleaned up, put stuff away a little bit, and then I'll get back to work trying to get the last little bit of the stuff removed from this engine so we can pull it off, and tomorrow morning send this car on its way and get it the hell out of here. Alright guys, I got the intercooler, fuel lines, transmission stuff, everything disconnected. All that might be left is just a couple more, wiring harnesses, and that should really be it. Maybe just a couple more wiring harnesses and motor mounts, and that's everything that is left. Pretty much every harness I've come into, or any vacuum line or whatever, I've just been chopping off and just taking care of it that way. Power steering pump and AC compressor, were both removed because they looked like they were going to get in the way trying to lift this thing straight up and out, and I may still have issues with like this motor mount up here. I think I'm just gonna hold off on filming anything until it's time to actually begin lifting the engine out, because the rest of the stuff I end up doing you're not going to be able to see it all, and I've got a ton of time-lapse footage I'm gonna have to edit through already. So I'll get the camera back up and going again once I'm hooking the hoist up to it. Alright, the engine is free. I got this supporting the engine so it didn't fall on me, of course. All 4 motor mounts are removed. The one on that's actually like a part of the timing cover, I guess, it's going to be a bit of an issue because I unbolted it from the engine and it's got like little things that stick out of it. So I'm going to have to make sure that engine is free of that, and one of my wrenches is actually trapped behind it now, which is awesome. I was trying to remove it from the firewall directly at first, which is what I should have ended up doing, but there's only enough room to fit a spanner, and both my 10 mil and 13 mil spanner, ratchet spanners, the Harbor Freight ones, are both broken, and it was taking forever, so I was like, alright, I'll just unbolt it from the block. Well, that kind of screwed me, but I'm just going to go up with it and see what happens. There is a lift point right here, but it's pretty much useless because there's none over there, so I use these 2 plates on the front and back of the intake manifold, and it should work, I guess. Let's see if it wants to come out or if I end up picking that car up. I think I'm picking the car up. Ooh, something broke. Yeah, we're picking the car up. Starting to think at this point I'll probably never buy another PT Cruiser because I never had any real issues working on this car, but it's because I never really had to work on it. And I just avoided working on it. That's why I put stop leak in the coolant instead of fixing the radiator, for example. And plus I didn't spend money on it. But every, any repair you would need to do, like replacing a radiator, replacing a power steering pump, or replacing an AC compressor, replacing an alternator, timing job, they make it so hard just to even get close to the stuff. Like, because the engine bay kind of comes up and it closes itself around the engine. It's bad. So I'm going to avoid these cars like the plague from now on. The non-turbo ones won't be quite as bad because there's a lot less going on with those, but even they are a pain in the ass. Especially as far as like the accessories like air conditioning and power steering go. They're all just as bad as this one. This part of the mount where the bolt goes in is currently screwing over. Okay. Let's see if we can. I got it free. Ha! I win, you fucking ass. Here's my, hey, look at that. So that's where my wrench was stuck. This giant thing here was in the firewall. Are you still stuck in there? Are you kidding me? My wrench is still stuck. But I can just chop this thing up and get it out. But, yeah. Engine side, so these little things were getting stuck, and then this giant SOB right here was in the firewall, and it was just trapped in there. So, yeet. Got my wrench out. We're good. Now, I think we can go up. Isn't this exciting? I forgot to disconnect the brake booster, and there's a vacuum line right here stuck. I knew there would be something I forgot, and I figured I would just pull it up and find out. Because like I've said before, it does not matter. We need to go down, or like, oh, we're good. We are good. landmine still attached. Alright. That should be the last item. Bring it back a little bit. Yeah. Getting a little bit close. Alright. Are we actually out? There we go. There. We are out. It is out. It's a mile high. I almost hit that beam, but I didn't. You guys can't see that. Engine is free. Stuck in that little crack in the floor. Okay. Well, the engine is off. I'm going to leave it on the hoist, but I'm going to lower it down. I unfortunately don't have any tires to put this thing on top of. But it's got an aluminum oil pan, so it should be fine to sit down. Plus it's got the transmission to help support it. Engine is out of the PT Cruiser. Finally, after a lot of fighting and cursing and swearing and learning lessons not to buy another one, engine is out. I think next video we're going to tear this engine apart and see what an engine with basically 250,000 miles looks like inside. And I also want to see what actually failed specifically on this engine. Alright, are we gonna work? Yes, we are. Yeah, next video we'll take this thing apart, see what the specific cause of the failure was, and there we go. And then we'll see what the specific cause of this engine's failure was, and we'll just look and see at what the inside of an engine with that many miles looks like, because I'm pretty curious myself. And I'm going to be tearing the entire engine apart, basically so that it doesn't take up a whole bunch of storage space in my storage unit, because that's a lot of space. Transmission I'm going to scrap, but I'm not going to keep that thing around. It's going to be a pain in the ass. But that's going to be the end of this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed seeing me struggle with this thing all day. And hit that like button and subscribe for more. I've got a couple plans for some of the parts in this engine in the future. So yeah, hit the like button, subscribe, come back for more. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys later.